What does 100 days of After Effects experience look like? Well, coincidentally, 100 days ago, after years of editing on DaVinci Resolve, I decided to switch to After Effects and have spent these past 3 and a bit months learning and practicing on the software. So without further ado, let's rewind to the 5th of May to day 1. Now this is going to be a very chill video. I'll just be throwing up some screen recordings of my editing and the edits themselves and just talk over the top. I'll be going over what went well each week, what didn't go so well, how I was feeling, and even some advice to anyone who's looking to start on After Effects. So starting off, I believe the best way to learn something is to just throw yourself in the deep end. So that is exactly what I did. Not without a tutorial though. Tutorials are great for learning. A lot of people are against them, but me personally, I think it's a great way to familiarize yourself with a software, the effects, and like when and where to use them. And the quicker that happens, the quicker you can start creating your own original edits. So for week 1, there was a lot of new stuff to get used to. So for example, like the structure of the software, it's just all in a single page pretty much, whereas DaVinci had like a fusion page and tons of different pages. So honestly, I think that was a good thing. There was also a lot of effect access with plugins. I didn't really use plugins on DaVinci much, and the graphing did feel a lot better on After Effects. Immediate negatives that I noticed were the complex interface that I mentioned. Parent link. Oh shit. Oh shit, no. What did I press? No. Where's the... No. Wait, no, I'm just deleting everything. Oh, for fuck's sake. I had no idea what I was doing, and that continued on through this first week. As for advice, I very quickly realized that plugins were essential. So that's like your Sapphire, your Deep Glow, your BBC, your... And now if you don't have these, there are certain ways to obtain these assets, you know. Do your research if you get what I mean.
What do you mean by that?
So for this second week, I started to get into making actual edits. And I made a video where I remade some of my old edits from like 3 to 4 years ago. And the reason I did this is because these were pretty simple, just like transition edits, and that's all I could really handle at this point. As for the wins and the positives of this week's, the graphs felt just a ton smoother. The movement was really something that felt an improvement from DaVinci. I also started to play around with the rotoscoping, which is a very useful tool. But at the time back here in week 2, it was very confusing, so I was mostly still using DaVinci to mask out things and then just like putting it on a green background and exporting it into After Effects. So the work-ons and negatives for this week, I was still very slow with the software. Later on in this video, you'll see how I did things to speed up this process, and that was pretty much thanks to your guys' suggestions. Like, yeah, I won't spoil it for now, but yeah, I was still very slow. Alright, now this is a big jump from week 2, because over the next month, from weeks 3 to 6, I only worked on one edit, which was my 50k OC edit. And the reason this took so long is mostly because of exams, so I didn't have much time to edit, but also because I really wanted to make this something that I could be proud of, which meant a lot of time and effort into learning compositing and effect techniques, and just tutorials in general. At this point in my progression was when I really started to enjoy using the software because I knew it well enough. Watching all those tutorials paid off because I knew when to do like looks and HLS or HSL, whichever one it is. And then, you know, all your turbulence, your optics compensation, your even optical flares, things like that. So that was very nice. The major work-ons for this week were probably my like pre-composing and just structure of how I lay out my edits. It was very messy, so I was always losing track of where things were and just getting frustrated because of it. Another thing is I didn't fully master the basics. I was just too excited to move on to the more complex stuff like, you know, compositing techniques and all that. So my movement was still lacking. That is something though that you'll see in the next few weeks I did try to improve on. And as a final thing to note, Roto is still confusing as fuck and I'm using DaVinci for masking still. Alright, now week 7, and this is where things really started to take shape. I made a video trying to edit different styles for the first time, and I did flow and also MoGraph. And the MoGraph edit was at the time my best edit yet. I was playing around with shape layers and text, which is something I hate, so you know. Another thing I did is also look into rotoscoping. It was way simpler than I thought it was, and I should have done it ages ago. but that opened up the door for me to start doing my thumbnails on After Effects, which I'd still been doing on DaVinci up until this point. I was just being a little bitch by not learning it prior. I also downloaded the flow graph, which was an absolute godsend, so shout out to everybody who suggested that. As for the work-ons this week, probably my basics were still pretty basic, I guess. My color correction, my magic looks, also a good shake. My shakes have never been good, so this is something that probably transcends the software and is simply just a skill issue. So that is something I needed to work on. Alright, so that moves us on to week 8, where I made an edit on the Demon Slayer movie trailer. Not too much to say for this week. I just say for my wins, my movement was starting to get a little better. As for work-ons, there was still a lot of tiling showing in the edit, so I wasn't making good use of like blur plugins and exposure and stuff like that. But with that being said, let's move on to week 9 and 10. Alright, so during these weeks I made my 1 minute versus 1 hour versus 10 hour peak 3 edit video. And again, I feel like I made my best edit yet. I was really starting to get an understanding for using things like optics compensation, turbulence, and I'd improved my shakes since that previous week. In terms of work-ons, my tiling still isn't really great. There's some times at the edit where you can see the tiling. I was still pretty slow at editing, just in general, as pointed out by a few people, but the work-ons in general are less obvious now, more so just like getting better in every aspect, just polishing it all up. So yeah, let's move on to week 11 and 12. Alright, so for weeks 11 and 12, I did jack shit. Let's move on to week 13 and 14. Okay, weeks 13 and 14, these are the final weeks of the challenge. So we're talking like day 80 something to 90 something. This was my 3-hour 1v1 edit versus Purgify, so I wasn't able to show my full improvement in this edit. That being said, I did not use any tutorials in this, so that goes to show how comfortable I've become on the software. I know what effects to use when and where. To the most part, I mean, I know there's tons of effects that I haven't even begun to scratch the surface on. But what I know is what I know. Yeah, that don't make sense, okay. I did improve on my MoGraph and my text, which is crazy because again, I hate text. It is so annoying, but for some reason, I kind of enjoy doing it. I also downloaded fast layers, which is what I was referring to before, which helped me edit faster. So shout out to everyone who suggested it. As for the work-ons and negatives for these weeks, I think it just comes down to, now that I'm comfortable on the software, I just need to work on creativity, just getting better, polishing up my current skills, and learning new ones. So overall, my summarizing thoughts. I am very happy that I switched, and I would recommend it to anybody who's thinking they might. My improvement has been so much quicker than it was on DaVinci. I feel like I'm already better than I was on DaVinci after only 3 months on After Effects. But I mean, yeah, that wraps up the video. I do hope you took something out of it, enjoyment, some sort of fucking education, I don't know, not education, but yeah, you get what I mean. I'm in the video now. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.